From Beijing, I'm Kate Kuei, live on CGTN. Faster, higher, stronger, together. This is the new motto of the Olympics. For this year's Winter Olympics in Beijing, green could probably be another tag added onto the event. While China is striving to host a zero-emission Green Olympics with various initiatives, including those using the latest technologies, some are questioning if these goals can actually be met and those proposals are feasible. I personally visited the new stadium in Beijing, the National Skating Oval, or the Ice Ribbon, and experienced the cutting-edge technologies that was being applied. For more details of those technologies used in this year's Winter Olympics, and specifically the enlightening architecture designs, today we are very honored to have two guests. Mr. Zheng Fang, the principal architect of the Ice Ribbon and Water Cube in studio with us, and Xie An, the North Region Deputy Managing Partner and Sustainability Service Leader from Deloitte China, joining us via Zoom. They will give us their insights on this year's Green Olympics. I've also invited my colleague Tang, and he will co-host today's discussion with me. So welcome, gentlemen.
Good evening, Kate.
Right. Mr. Zheng, it seems that architectures and engineerings that are as inspiring as the sports events that they host. So in your view, how would you evaluate an architecture to be good? Or what is a good architecture?
So as an architect, I think that a good building design will work with the time together.
Right.
So we always work on architectural design with state-of-the-art technology and push the boundary of technology and integrate high technology of the current time, what we have, the contemporary technology into the building, into the architecture design.
Right.
For stadium, we focus on sustainable operation for games for legacy, and we integrate energy and environmental strategy into the design to focus on sustainability of the whole venue.
Right. You mentioned a very interesting word, technology that we have, or technology is available of our times. I know that you not only designed this ice ribbon this year, you also designed a water cube in 2008, and you mastered basically these two buildings for 2 Olympics. What an achievement. So when you look back, do you think that 2008 construction, the architect, is outdated? Because we are using the technology that we had at our time by then. Is it outdated now?
I worked on the design of the National Aquatics Center from 2003 till now. It's 20 years altogether. I believe in 2008 we built stadiums, aquatic centers, arenas using cutting-edge technology at that time.
Right.
And reflecting the ideas, philosophy of 2008 Olympic Games. I don't think that's anything about the time out or outdated, because the idea, the philosophy was recorded in the building.
Right.
At that time, we have 3 aspects of Beijing Olympics: the Green Olympics, Scientific Olympic, and Humanity Olympics. And after 20 years, when the dual Beijing has been the first dual Olympic city in the world, so we are moving forward, both from the design and the construction, and with the technology and the design philosophy of this time.
Right.
What about now? Like 2 decades have passed already.
Right.
Yeah.
What has changed the most in terms of Olympic venue design, especially under the principle of delivering sustainability?
So in 2008, the Beijing, the city of Beijing is still expanding, building landmark stadiums for the Olympic Games.
Right.
The whole new Olympic Green and Olympic Forest Park. So that's it's a time of developing.
Right.
So the city is expanding. We are expecting landmark stadiums at the time.
Right.
So you can see the national stadium with pretty heavy
Right.
Architectural impression,
Right.
and sort of national symbol at that time. So we are developing at that time. The whole city is expanding very quickly.
Right.
And now,
Yeah. Go ahead.
we are in 2022. The Beijing has already been a city that is developing in high quality.
Right.
Many buildings are updated.
Right.
And we are using more and more existing venues.
Right, right. So basically, what you are saying, if I may summarize, is that the concept of technology and the concept of the green or the cutting edge technology goes along with the development of the city and also the development of the nation. So 2008 Beijing versus 2022 Beijing is very different, and the world has changed a lot. So can you also walk us through a little bit more about the cutting edge technology and the green technology in this 2022 Winter Olympics?
So from both new stadiums and renovated stadiums,
Right.
we can say we try to integrate the contemporary technologies into the buildings. For example, the National Speed Skating Oval.
Right.
We start from the ice, try to make the whole building as compact to save material, save energy
Right.
as we can.
Right.
And we developed demountable system for the water cube to have a stadium that could work both for swimming and ice arena.
Right, right. You mentioned the CO2 ice making process. So that's a replacement of Freon, right, as a refrigerator. So how much energy it can actually save, and what kind of incremental environmental benefits that we can actually gain by using CO2 to create ice?
So when we prepared for the speed skating arena, actually we worked a lot on the Freon freedom from the beginning.
Right.
So after 2 years in the process, the CO2 system getting more and more suitable,
Right.
more developed for use. So we finally chose CO2 system with all the team, the Bangkok, IOC, and everybody together,
Right.
and we achieved the agreement
Right.
to use the most innovative CO2 system for speed skating oval.
Right.
From this point, I remember that there are also another 3 training venues use the same CO2 system,
Okay.
and push the refrigeration technology forward very much from.
Do we have a quantified number, say how much energy, incremental benefits that we can get by using this CO2?
Compared to convenient Freon system,
Right.
we have a GWP value.
Right.
For CO2 system, it's only 1.
Okay.
But for
Traditional, conventional, yeah, Freon.
like R507, normally used for ice arena,
Right.
and the same value GWP is nearly 4,000.
Okay, so that's a huge difference. So, Xie An, we are just talking about the cutting-edge technologies, the CO2 usage to replace Freon for the ice making in the new skating center. I don't know if you have visited the skating center, the ice ribbon, or not, but I'm sure that you've been to the water cube before, which was the main stadium in 2008 in Beijing. So what is your impression of water cube after 15 years? This is my first question to you. And secondly, you're an expert in sustainable development. How would you evaluate the maintenance of the stadium, the water cube, during this 15 years and making it still sustainable and green as an landmark architecture left in Beijing?
Okay, so my impression for the water cube, I think, is still very beautiful, used for decades. So, and at the same time, I think it's very important landmark for Beijing. A lot of friends here, they have to visit there and to show the pictures to their friends.
Right.
That cannot come along with them. And from the sustainability perspective, I think actually, for the green building, the design is very important, but actually the operation is more important because the operation represents more than 95% of the building life cycle. And very good operation, good governance, and system that can show the greatest value of the green building, and at the same time can keep it in a very good status. I think that's the very important thing that we may not see from the outside. Yeah.
Right.
Well, actually, what Mr. Xie just said reminds me of what Mr. Zheng used to say in an interview, that the ice ribbon has three systems, respectively the ice ribbon, the intelligent sports management, spectator management, and venue management systems. So I want to know, how would these systems help deliver the sustainability?
Right, and also let me just follow up. In this year's event, I actually noticed that we converted that water cube to be suitable to this year's Winter Olympics as well.
Become an ice cube.
Yeah, become ice cube, part of the ice cube. Yeah. So this is also part of the recycling efforts.
So in terms of the water cube to the ice cube, I think from architect's point of view, first we focused on the continuous use of the venue itself. It hosted 2008 Olympic Games for swimming, diving, and synchronized swimming. After that, the venue has operated very successful for the years after Olympic Games.
Right.
From 2008 to 2019, before Winter Olympic Games renovation, there are more than 25 million visitors to the water cube. And at the same time, water cube can keep hosting large events like many great shows.
APAC, as far as I can remember.
APAC in 2014. So my friend sometimes called the water cube has changed from water cube to a food cube.
Football cube, right?
Football cube.
Okay.
And
exhibition hall. Yes.
Exhibition hall
Exhibition
and many large shows.
Right.
And even somebody have speech there, and some new shows for new products like cars, new mobile phones.
Okay.
And so there are more than 100 large events every year.
Right.
So I think this is the first point that we focus the building. We try to create universal space for different function, for different program.
Okay, I have a question I really want to ask, because I want to dig into a little bit more to the technology part. You mentioned about the renovation of Ice Cube, but people say that building a winter sport venue is like building a refrigerator, in which the smaller the place, the better you'll be able to control the temperature and the less energy you will consume. So how did you manage to make this ice ribbon big enough to host the spectators, 12,000, at the same time small enough to save energy? What's the key for the balance?
Right.
Okay, we will shift to the ice ribbon. To be honest, we have to keep the actual size of the track itself. We're not going to make it short anyway. It must follow the strict rules from IICU.
Right.
So we have a 400 meter track inside the building, and above the track, around the track, we have 12,000 spectators, and this has defined the footprint of the building.
Right.
And after that, we try to reduce the whole volume of the whole building.
Right.
So that's why we push the roof down to the ground,
Okay.
and then keep the and as low as we can.
So you save the volume basis. The volume is much smaller if you make it straight, comparing to the straight, structure.
Yes, so we by pressing the roof down to the ice.
Usually this part is fully occupied,
Yes,
but now
exactly.
it's like going down.
Yes.
Yeah, so we saved about 1/3 of the whole volume by the roof itself.
No wonder.
And after that, we choose cable system to reduce the volume further.
Right.
Like normal stadium like this kind of mega span, we might need a depth of the structure of 8 to 10 meter depth of the structure itself.
Right.
But for the cable system, what we need is only 0.2 meter
Okay.
for the cable system.
Right. So basically, you also save a lot of steel usage as well during the process, which intrinsically save a lot of material cost.
Yes, the tension structure
Right.
of cable net system is much higher, has much higher efficiency than normal lattice grade of other.
Right.
The
kind of-
saddle-shaped cable system.
Saddle-shaped.
Saddle
Saddle-shaped.
shaped. Yep.
Yeah.
Right. So let us go back to the to this technology front. While we are talking about the construction of a energy-saving building, we need to invest into it first. So Xie An, do you know that how much we actually invested into this National Skating Center in order to make it energy efficient, in order to make it almost carbon emission zero? This is one. And according to the experiences that we generated from WaterCube, after 15 years operation, such kind of investment, can the return actually be justified over sound operation for 15 years, for instance? Or how long, in your calculation, under your calculation, the IRR can be justified?
It's a very interesting question to discuss the cost and the benefit, investment and the return. Actually, I can give you a very simple example. For example, you would like to replace your traditional light with the LED light. So maybe you will spend a little bit more than the traditional light when you install them, right?
Right.
But actually, your lights could be very old. It's time for you to replace them, whatever you want.
Right.
So when you calculate the cost, we look at the incremental cost for the replacement first.
Right.
And then when we calculate the return, it should be a quite mid or long-term return we need to calculate.
Right.
Like go back to the LED example. I think based on some data calculation, we need 1 year to get the return of the investment.
Okay.
If you use LED lights, but actually for the following 3 to 5 years, you will get more return. You will get benefit. So this is a very simple example. But when we talk about the green building, we can use the same formula to calculate the investment and the return.
Yeah, Zheng Zong, what's your take on that?
Xie An just mentioned the LED lighting.
Right.
We always have large system of LED lighting for broadcast, for maintenance for the building.
Right.
This time all the 4 ice venues renovated for Winter Olympic Games in Beijing zone has changed the original flood lighting from traditional system to LED system. We have 2 other reasons for the changing.
Right.
The first one is we need to keep the ice, the quality of the ice. This is the other extra point of the lighting.
Right.
We cannot accept the heat from the lighting to affect the quality of the ice.
Right.
So this is one point. Besides energy saving, and at the same time we have got other benefits because the LED lighting could change at the same time of the venue.
Right.
That means that the traditional lighting needs very long time to start up.
Okay.
So for LED lighting, we could create very impressive atmosphere for the stadium.
Okay.
Okay, I have a question. Talking about using LED lights,
Right.
I'm thinking about maybe you should also turning off the lights when leaving. So, yeah, what I'm trying to say is that some people say the carbon neutralization is not just about the technical problem, it's also about the management issues.
Right.
So what do you think of this, Mr. Zheng?
So that's why we updated the whole building management system of the National Aquatics Center.
Right.
Trying to trying to control the whole environment, interior environment of the stadium.
Right.
To turn the swimming pool into a ice arena.
Right.
We are facing actually 3 major challenges.
Right.
The swimming pool to the ice, the field of play first,
Right.
and then the interior environment.
Interior environment.
Yeah,
Yes.
the temperature, humidity, dehumidification for the ice,
Right.
and intelligent management system.
Right.
For the Olympic Games, we need the system to control the whole the environment of the whole building very carefully.
Right.
To just to keep the delicate the ice.
A delicate balance of the
yeah,
ice.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So when we talk about carbon neutrality, when we talk about the zero emission for any stadium, for instance, what kind of calculation mechanism are you adopting, or what kind of formula are you adopting to make sure it is indeed a zero emission?
The building itself could not reduce to zero.
Right.
So but this time for the Winter Olympic Games, we all the venues are using green electricity, green power from Zhangjiakou.
Okay.
So the national grid group.
Right. National grid. Yeah.
They developed the whole green power system to use the wind power from Zhangjiakou to light up all the venues in Beijing.
Right. So Xie An, in your view, how should we measure, the carbon emission from a holistic approach, from a holistic view for any big event?
Actually, I read some materials about the Olympic Games carbon neutral plan and some actions. I can say that it's quite innovative. There's some new standards for this Olympic Games that we can take it as a good example in future.
Right.
For example, it covers a lot of things from the very beginning years of the preparation to the Olympic game this year,
Right.
and at the same time the scope is very comprehensive. It covers a lot of things, including the people, the facilities, and the transportations, and from the the elements of the carbon emission. It also covers the for example the design, the construction, the operation, all of these things. I can say it's a very complicated models for such a big events, but actually we can achieve it. It could be a very good example, very good showcase for all of the similar events.
Right. I have a question for both guests, just following what you just said. We have a comprehensive model to actually calculate this zero emission and then try to make it carbon neutral for the event. But if you read some foreign media, international media, the Washington Post had a headline saying the Winter Olympics could highlight China's innovative and troubling efforts to control the weather. And there are 2 lines in the report saying, does a country have a right to shape the weather? And the second one is, the nation is expected to deploy technology and new levels of scale to ensure the Olympics comes off clean. Cue the sun. So, Xie An, let's starting from you first. Are they actually saying the government is irrelevant in dealing with this affair or driving the effort for this green transformation at all?
I can say that any new technology, including the carbon neutral technology, is serving the people. we would like to have a better life for all of the people on Earth. That means that to achieve the carbon neutrality not means that to sacrifice the people's life. So I think we would like to, first of all, the target driven is very important. That means that we have a very clear target to achieve the carbon emission zero.
Right.
And secondly, that we would like to deploy such kind of new technologies to achieve this goal. But at the same time, actually, people oriented is very important. We need to achieve the carbon emission zero goal, and we need to deploy the new technology. But at the same time, we need to let all of the people in this events they are happy and they feel comfortable. That's very important.
So what is government's role during this process? Where you're saying that we have clear target, who sets the target? Of course, people set the target together with the government, but what is government's role during this whole process?
Okay, so actually, I think all of the big economic entities actually set the goal for the whole world's carbon neutrality goal. And actually, in China, we have our own commitment by President Xi Jinping to say that we need to achieve the 30-60 strategy. So under this national and global strategy, so I think for this Olympic Games, we need to achieve the carbon neutral. This is the target to serve the global and the national strategy.
Right. Zheng Zong, what's your take on that?
I think the carbon neutral goal, it's a responsibility of everybody, each stakeholders, from government to our daily life. For architects and engineers, from design point of view, I think it's our responsibility to do what we can do. So it's so I think it's a system to achieve the goal of Winter Olympic Games as a carbon neutral games.
Right. So not only from top down, we also have bottom up approach to make this a coordinated effort.
It's got to be the government initiatives, right? So my question is for Mr. Xie, that AFP had this report asking, will Beijing Spring Olympics really be green due to some concerns over the environmental costs, like relying on artificial snow in one of the driest places in the country, and not mentioning the cost of making the snow requiring around 49 million gallons of water. So what's your take on that?
As I said, that carbon neutral or environmental friendly doesn't mean that we won't consume nothing. We need to utilize these materials, including the water, including the energy, to serve our target, actually serve our people. So I think the important thing is that how efficient it is and how we can recycle all of these materials. That is very important. That doesn't mean that we use nothing that is the environment friendly. That's
is this 49 million water used on artificial snow actually creating some trouble or creating some irresolvable problems for the local residents' life or the environment? Have we caused any damage at all?
Like damaging the soil health and even erosion?
Right.
I don't know where is the confidence come from. So I don't think that kind of damage is a totally different concept.
Right.
So my friend Mr. Li Xinggang working on the Yanqing zone with the National Ski Center and the National Sliding Center. When I asked him about how to deal with the snow, so his answer is when the snow melts after games, all the water will be treated carefully to be reused in locally. So I think they all the stadiums are trying to reduce the impact on the environment from in very detail.
Right. So we'll make sure all the water used to create the fake snow, after being used, they will be carefully dealt with and make sure that they can be recycled and not really put it into environment and cause any negative damage. Okay, I have another piece, interesting one, saying that, Beijing nowadays or China, is still heavily relying on fossil fuels. What is the purpose, so to speak, to create a zero-emission Winter Olympic? What does the zero-emission or carbon neutrality event serve while we are facing a big background of dependent on fossil fuels? So Xie An, what's your take on that? What is the meaning for this carbon neutrality Winter Olympics?
I can give you another very interesting example. A lot of big multinational companies, they have their own climate change commitment, right? They need to achieve the carbon neutrality by some time, and some multinational companies announced that they have achieved the carbon neutral, right?
Right.
But on the other hand, they have their business all over the world.
Exactly.
They need to rely on different kind of energy all over the world. So if they can achieve the carbon neutral, is that means that any countries they have business there, they can achieve the carbon neutral at the same time?
Right.
I think I can say that it's not exactly the same, but I think the situation is quite similar.
Right.
That means in China that we can achieve the carbon neutral for some events or for some company. That doesn't mean that for the whole country we can achieve the same goal at the same time. But on the other hand, I think for the events or the company, they can be the pioneer of this very important commitment and task. And at the same time, their actions, their technologies could be the demonstration, could be the very good example for the others and for the future.
Right.
And as a non-E&R company, Deloitte has reached
Carbon neutrality
the neutrality in the 2020 fiscal year. So I want to know, how did you do that? How did you manage to realize the target?
Yeah, it's very interesting. Actually, in Deloitte, we have our the highest level management involvement. Actually, we have our management team to be involved to develop the strategy and the pathway to achieve the carbon neutrality, and also we will utilize some new technology, including the EV 100 and the renewable energy 100 commitment to achieve that goal. And at the same time, we also made a lot of, business transformation, including that we have upgraded our delivery model. Some work will not be delivered on site. We can do it online, and we will significantly reduce our travel and our emission by the air flights. So a lot of I can say that operational upgrade, operational transfer for our business. And the other hand, we also educate our people to know what is the factor elements that will increase the carbon emission, and they can be very careful during their work and life to improve the KPI. Yeah.
Right. So Zheng Fang, what is your take on that? What is the purpose of having a zero-emission Winter Olympics in Beijing this year?
So from the stadium itself, we're using green power from wind generator, and we are trying to use those electricity to make ice, to light up the building with LED sports lighting, and at the same time we try to reduce all the energy consumption of the building. For the ice making system, more than 85% of the heat generated from the refrigeration system will be reused for athletes' shower, heating the building in winter, even for the ice resurfacer.
Take a shower.
You can take a shower, use all those recycled, reheated water. Yeah.
Use the heat. Okay. Not the ice.
Right. Okay. So basically, we have to start from somewhere, as what Mr. Xie just said, and also Zheng Fang mentioned. To realize this carbon neutrality goal for the whole society, we may start it from our office. We may start from a very small place. We may start from a stadium. We may start from this Winter Olympics event. But without starting from somewhere, this global mission for carbon neutrality will not happen. So I think that's probably the meaning of having a carbon neutrality Winter Olympics this year for. So Zheng Fang, I have a question that I want to ask you, because you've been experiencing Olympics twice. This is your second Olympics. This is really an amazing experience. Now looking back, what could we have done better in hosting such kind of events, or even architecture building? You've experienced twice as well. What could we have done better to make this 2022 Winter Olympics more successful? According to your last experience.
So I believe in 2008 we are studying. We are developing to learn how to host such a large event to unite the whole world together.
Right.
So at that time, we designed and constructed at that time, learning new knowledge,
right.
and develop our knowledge about Olympic Games. But in 2022, we are leading the future Winter Olympic Games, right. To say how to construct, how to design, how to operate.
We're setting the new standards, basically.
Yeah.
Right.
Especially for the both new building and renovated building. So for the in 2020+5 agenda, right. From IOC, the recommendation is not to build new permanent venues for the Olympic Games,
right.
But to try to use temporary facilities, right. Use existing facilities.
That's also out of environmental concern, I would assume.
So I believe that's kind of showcase from Beijing Winter Olympic Games.
Right. Okay.
If you think about it, back in 2008, we were thinking about the building structures to hold the weight of the bird's nest, but now we're talking about carbon neutrality. This is something we have never really touched upon before.
Right.
So I have a question for Mr. Xie, that you once said that some companies, and especially the energy and resource companies, are mainly responding to the government mandates and in regards to the decarbonization. So how should we help them understand that the energy transition is actually a really good opportunity for industrial transformation?
I think for the energy and the resources industry company, they will look for a new way for development. They need to understand that they cannot survive under the traditional emission development model. They need to understand that they should invest in the new technology to find the new resources, the new energy to develop and to provide a totally new development model to the whole world. And on the other hand, for the other industries, especially for the manufacturing industry, the consumer business industry, when they have the cleaner, they have the renewable energy. On the other hand, they need to think about how to utilize it in a more efficient way, and to produce more greener products to the whole society, to the people. So this is a kind of a systematic transformation for the whole world. Maybe it starts with the energy and the resources, but it will end in front of any people.
Yeah. Right.
Yes.
Sorry, Deloitte managed to do it, but what about other sectors, especially those traditional ones? Is the investment on mergers and acquisitions a really good approach for them to, conduct the industrial transformation? I want to know that.
Yeah. Actually, currently one single company, one single people cannot do anything, right? So the very important is the whole ecosystem improvement, right. The transition for the whole ecosystem. Actually, for our company, for Deloitte, why we are so aggressive to do it because our clients and a lot of different stakeholders, they have expectation on our transformation. And this expectation will also, expand to impact anyone in the society. So I think this is a early or later question, not a yes or no question.
Right.
And for the mergers and acquisition, this is a very important inorganic growth way for everyone. So the one who can catch the opportunity through the M&A, they will be a winner in the industry.
Right.
Yeah.
Zheng Zong.
So I appreciate the effort from Deloitte. Mr. Xie An just mentioned the energy industry, but for the plus the refrigeration industry,
Right.
Especially from this Winter Olympic Games, I believe the whole new CO2 system from Beijing Winter Olympic Games will inspire the
Right.
future of the whole industry.
Right. So that can actually set an example for the industry, for a broader application onto industry. I also noticed one interesting thing. In 2008 Beijing Olympics, we actually started to use those lithium-backed batteries for electric vehicles. But in this year's Winter Olympics, we are promoting hydrogen cell-backed vehicles as transportation vehicles between the stadiums and also between the different places. So does that actually mean that hydrogen could also be taking off very soon as one of the alternatives of clean energy sources? Xie An, what's your view?
Actually, hydrogen is very attractive to everyone. So currently,
Right.
but I think before the carbon neutrality strategy announced, the situation was totally different. That means that strategy driven is very important. So I think if we have a very clear target, clear strategy, then we will have our goal to utilize such kind of new technology. So I think the speed of the innovation will be faster than what we thought. So I think hydrogen must be a very key solution for all of us.
Well, Elon Musk doesn't agree. Elon Musk is basically saying that it's too much effort and it is too troublesome for us to get hydrogen at the first place, letting alone applying it within large scale. So isn't it, what's your view? Do you think it's convenient for us to get hydrogen in our daily life? And what are the shortcomings or drawbacks of using hydrogen?
I think it is kind of combination for different technologies. We cannot rely on one single technology to solve the whole problem. So
Right.
I think this is a very important one, but not all for the solution. No, yeah.
Right. Okay. So Zheng Zong, what is your take on that? Have you noticed the hydrogen-powered vehicles for this year's Olympics?
Yeah. Well, I noticed that there are this kind of vehicles served the athletes and the technical officials for the games. So it looks we are still at the beginning point of developing different technical routes,
Right.
either using clean electricity or other alternative energy sources. So I'm not a scientist, but I believe that different routes will arrive at the same point.
Right. Okay.
Sorry, the applying of those new energy vehicles for the Beijing Winter Olympic Games is going to be a watershed event for the future implementation of the new energy in China. A question for both you, Mr. Zheng and Mr. Xie. It's going to be a turning point of the implementation of the new energy in China.
So this is a showcase.
The showcase. What about you, Mr. Xie?
I think it's not just a showcase. It's a very good demonstration because we can. That can prove that we can utilize it in a larger scale. So I think it could be a turning point for a lot of different industries.
Okay. My last question to you, Mr. Zheng, but also I think it's probably one of the most important questions in my mind. As an architect yourself, you compare your work to others and others compare their works to yours. How would you evaluate your work if comparing to the masterpiece by the architect who designed, the architect Kengu Kuma designed the Tokyo Olympics main stadium? How would you compare?
I think that there are many respectful architects in this world and developing different design concepts using local materials, try to achieve environmental or energy goals. So I think the major design intention is focusing the sustainability. This is almost the same.
Right.
Kengo Kuma used wood structure with high efficiency steel cables together for the Tokyo National Stadium.
Yes.
And we are using lightweight roof for the speed skating oval. So this is I believe, the direction of design for the future to limit the consumption of materials, energy. So I think for the stadium, we are trying to achieve a strategy of sustainability from different technical routes.
Right.
Actually, the design of the National Stadium of Tokyo for the 2020 Games is not the first one. It's not the original one. So I want to ask any other questions about your design and any challenges when you're trying to bid for this, design and construction.
In the future.
Yeah.
I'm still working on it.
Okay. So great. A very enlightening discussion tonight. Apparently, sustainability and green are two key words for this year's Winter Olympics. While Winter Olympics is several days away, we wish the event a great success. And thanks you all for watching tonight.